So we gonna get right into it. Y'all see this right here. What you're looking at is a federal document from the United States District Court, Eastern District Court of North Carolina, United States of America versus Christopher C. Worth. Now, I hope y'all can read backwards. But what this is a federal document that was filed just 2 days ago on October the 30th. And what it is the defendants, which is Chris Worth, motion to continue the arraignment and motion for extension of time to file pretrial motions, right? So we've all heard about him being arrested with Mike Cox and the bid rigging scheme. But this charge right here has nothing to do with bid rigging. As you read in the caption, Chris Worth, and I'm going to actually let you guys read it for yourself. And I hope you guys can read backwards. Look at number 1 right here. It says, defendant is charged in a multi-count indictment alleging defendant distributed a Schedule II controlled substance and counts of sex trafficking, including a minor. Whoa. You read it right here. This is a federal document. This is not Richard Taylor just making up stuff. This is a federal motion for the defense and his request to extend the pretrial motions in the arraignment. Now, if you read the next line, I'm going to take you to line 2. I'm going to read 2. An order addressing pretrial scheduling was entered by the United States District Judge James Deaver. Within said order, October the 30th, 2023 was set as the last day to file all pretrial motions. So what does this tell you, right? This case right here has been already on the docket because this is saying that October the 30th, which was 2 days ago, was the last day for Chris Worth and his attorney to file motions concerning this case, or pretrial motions. My question is, why hasn't the public heard about this part of the indictment? Why are they keeping this part under wraps? But no need for that because now we know. So News Argus, WRAL, y'all might need to do a story on Chris Worth indictment and arraignment alleging distribution of Schedule II controlled substance and counts of sex trafficking, including a minor. In layman's terms, Chris Worth has been alleged to be involved in child sex trafficking. Not bid rigging, not the thing that they have made a big deal about, but this is child sex trafficking. Why have we not heard anything concerning this? This is public record, right? This is a public document. This case, he has been indicted on this case for at least 2 months because what they're doing now, this right here is the motion for Worth to extend time to file pretrial motions. Anybody ever been to court? Pretrial motions is when your lawyers file stuff for the judge concerning the way the trial is going to be heard, what evidence is going to be admitted, what evidence is going to be excluded, blah, 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 all the legal jargon. So what we have here is an order that was filed just 2 days ago concerning this case against Chris Worth with drug trafficking, but most importantly, child sex trafficking. Now I'm going to continue to read, once again, this federal document. Count 3 or number 3 in the document says the counsel for the defendant requires additional time in which to meet with the defendant and determine the necessary pretrial motions, if any, in this matter. The discovery in this matter is voluminous That means there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. So the lawyer is actually requesting the judge to give them extra time to figure out all of the discovery, what they're going to admit, what they're going to fight against. You know, they're pretty much their angle of defense for this alleged child trafficking indictment that Chris Worth is a part of. Now, once again, he said he has to meet with the defendant. Now, according to my last information or the last recollection, it was to my understanding that Chris Worth was released. So he is actually out on bond. Now, mind you, we all know Mike Cox was denied bond, but how in the world are you going to allow an alleged child sex trafficker to be out on bond? So it doesn't say when this charge was initially placed upon Chris Worth, but it is at least now. Once again, this says case number 523. So if anybody knows, right around that time, you know, August is when they first arrested both of these guys, right? So here we are 2 months later in November, 3 months later, and they're talking about a child sex trafficking case. Read line number 2, right? So Chris Worth is evidently out on bond. He's asking for more time. And once again, this is point 4 of the document. And the document reads, given the status of counsel for defense review of discovery and the ongoing nature of good faith discussions between defense counsel and the government and communicating the same with the defendant, the undersigned respectfully. Now, that the undersigned is Chris Worth lawyer from Kelly Green from New Bern, North Carolina, of the law firm of Green, Wilson, Crowe, and Smith. So Mr. Green is respectfully seeks the above requested extension of the pretrial motions deadline and a corresponding continuance of the arraignment. Now, what they're asking is, once again, it says, comes now the defendant, Chris Worth, this is the first page. And through his undersigned counsel, he hereby moves for an extension of 30 days to file pretrial motions. So what Chris and his lawyer is doing is pretty much trying to buy some time, if you ask me. But because as this document states that the evidence is so voluminous, which means there's a lot of volume, there's a lot of stuff that's going on with this case, that they need more time to review the discovery. Now, anybody know what the discovery is? If you've ever been on trial for a criminal act, and if you have never been on trial, I don't advise you to get on trial. But the discovery is all of the evidence that the state, or in this case, the federal government, has to present against you. So what they're asking for is more time to review this thing. How are we going to attack this thing, right? And so that's what they're doing in this particular motion, which was just filed 2 days ago. And once again, let me iterate. If it was just filed 2 days ago for pretrial motions, this case has already been placed in litigation. So once again, why don't we know about this sex trafficking, including a minor? Why don't we know about this child sex trafficking charge that Mr. Worth is charged with? So I'm going to continue. I'm going to read number 5. Now, the undersigned, which is Worth's lawyer, the undersigned has contacted counsel for the government. Now, if anybody remembers the previous videos, the counsel for the government in this case is Mr. Dennis Duffy. Mr. Dennis Duffy is once again the one who, outed some names early on in the trial with Cox. But it says Mr. Dennis Duffy, he has no objections to the relief sought herein. So what this lawyer is saying, Kelly Green, Chris Worth lawyer, is saying, look, I done talked to the federal prosecutor. He ain't got no objection. He's going to give us some more time the talk this thing through. And in the previous paragraph, it says the nature of the good faith discussions between defense counsel and the government. Now that's a whole nother story, but this is how they negotiate. Good faith, right? We're in this trial against each other, but we're trying to make this thing as best for both parties as it can be. And you read about this in the last paragraph, right? Because the federal prosecutors is pretty much giving this guy, Chris Worth, and his attorney more time to submit motions that should have been filed 2 days ago, but they gave them an extra 30 days, as you will see. Paragraph 6 reads, the undersigned counsel, Mr. Kelly Green, the counsel of Christopher Worth, respectfully submits the allowance of this motion would serve the ends of justice, and such allowance would also outweigh the best interests of the public and the defendant in a speedy trial. So what this man is saying is giving us more time to go through all of this evidence that we got against my client is going to best serve the public. It's going to best serve the ends of justice. So you giving me more time is going to help me further or more competently fight this case and provide justice for either the government or Mr. Worth. Now, he also says that you giving us this reprieve or this extra time outweighs the best interest of the public and the defendant's right to a speedy trial, right? So he's saying, look, give us some extra time because we need this to fight for justice, and I don't care how the public feels. I don't care that this man has been out there selling drugs, bid rigging, and most importantly, child sex trafficking. You know, give us some time because, you know, this is going to serve justice. So, the final sentence of this, and once again, I may post this. I may post this online, or I may post this in the comments. But the final paragraph said, wherefore the defendant, by and through his undersigned counsel of record, hereby moves that the defendant be allowed an additional 30 days within which to file pretrial motions to continue the arraignment to the December term of the court. Now, mind you, so they're asking, and this was respectfully submitted, once again, so you know what day was this submitted, respectfully submitted the 30th day of October, 2 days ago. These people are arguing this case which the public has no knowledge of. No WRA Well, no Goldsboro News Argus, no Goldsboro Daily News, no Mount Olive Public Journal, whatever that paper is out there. Nobody has talked about this additional indictment for Chris Worth with alleged drug dealing, but also, most importantly, once again, I have to harp on it, alleged child sex trafficking. So, we see that they're pretty much begging for time in this motion, right? So let's see how the judge answered this motion. And once again, so now we don't see a motion in that term, we see order. So that means order. This is what the judge ordered in response to Mr. Chris Worth's motion to extend some time to go over this evidence that's very voluminous, that's very extensive against him. And this order reads, this matter comes before the court on defendant's motion to extend the pretrial motion's deadline and to continue his arraignment and trial. The judge, the Honorable Judge Richard Myers, he agrees. He says, upon consideration of the circumstances and for the reasons in good cause showed, the motion is granted. So in layman's terms, this judge has granted Chris Worth and his attorney an additional 30 days to review all the evidence and submit prior motions and These motions are going to be listed in the next paragraph. Accordingly, defendant's motion for extension of time to file pretrial motions is granted and pursuant thereunto motions to compel discovery. That means, to examine the evidence that he has against him. Motions to suppress. What that means is they're going to file, if anything in the evidence that they don't want to be presented in courts, they're going to file a motion to suppress it or motion to have it not being entered in court. Basically, a motion to make it disappear. So they're going to be able to file that motion, and motions under rules 7, 8, 12, 13, 14, 16, 41 of the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure shall be filed no later than November the 29th, 2023. Now, I didn't have time to look all those other rules. You can go look them up if you want to. But the bottom line is Chris Worth has been granted an extra 30 days to November the 29th to file these pretrial motions. Now, the delay occasioned by this extension and continuance is excluded from the Speedy Trial Act computation pursuant to U.S. 1831687 for the reason that the interest of justice, once again, outweighs the interest of the public and the defendant right to a speedy trial. This day of October 23rd, 2023. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. 919-587-7782. If anything that I said in this video is incorrect, or if you can provide more information on why this has not been covered by local news, regional news, backyard news, front yard news. Nobody knows about Chris Worth and this alleged, not even alleged, this arraignment on the indictment. Once again, I'm going to show it to you one last time. This number one. The defendant is charged in a multi-count indictment alleging defendant distributed a Schedule II controlled substance, cocaine, heroin, whatever you want to call it, and counts of sex trafficking, including a minor. And it says counts. Doesn't list how many counts that he has. So here we have, to my knowledge, Chris Worth is still out on bond. Correct me if I'm wrong, and correct me as well in this matter. I was told that he was granted the opportunity to retire with his pension. Correct me if I'm wrong, but somebody told me that from an unconfirmed source. Let me say that, because people like to come for me when I, when I make speculations. But you can't come for me right here. This is a federal document. They clearly says Christopher C. Worth, and I don't know what the C stands for. Maybe it's Chasworth, maybe it's Chadwick, whatever the C stands for. He's been alleged to be child trafficking. And so, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I received this document early this morning, and I was taken aback when I read that first paragraph of this motion to extend pretrial release. Once again, that means that this case has already been on the docket. This case was set for November. But because Chris Worth and his lawyer needs extra time to review the evidence against him, they're asking for extra time to do that. So the judge granted them 30 days, which delays the arraignment and the subsequent trial, which means this case has been in litigation for some time, for at least 2 months. Maybe it was already in litigation along with the bid rigging of him and Mike Cox, along with the drug distribution with Mike Cox, and all of the other, unscrupulous things that Mike Cox was doing, and Chris Worth as well. Here we see that it gets much deeper. Definitely gets deeper. And once again, I'm appalled by, gentlemen who were supposed to be upholding and protecting the law with moral integrity and, ethics and respect, honor, and valor, giving a bad name to all of those who serve with honor and dignity and respect and all of those characteristics. So, um, this is, alleged charges. Let me make that clear. But once again, if anybody knows anything about the feds don't come get you if they ain't got no case. So, they got a 97, 99% convict rate. So once they got you in the site, it's lock, stock, and barrel, baby. So we're going to continue with this. Hopefully we might get some news coverage of this alleged child sex trafficking case that Mr. Chris Seaworth is involved in. But I'm going to keep you updated. Hopefully I'll be able to, sit in court in these proceedings and provide some firsthand information. But once again, you heard it here first. Taylor House Publisher. Like the video, subscribe to the video, share the video. But this is something I think that the public needs to hear, and they need to hear it immediately because evidently this man is still out on the streets. To my recollection. So this is definitely something that you might want to be hiding your kids, hide the women and the kids, because evidently, it goes much deeper than bid rigging. But I'm Richard Taylor, 919-587-7782. Call me if you want to add information. Call me if you got some corrections. But, you can't correct this. It's federal document. United States District Court, Eastern District of North Carolina, Western Division. Eastern District, Western Division. That don't even make sense. But nevertheless, defendant is charged in a multi-count indictment alleging defendant distributed a Schedule II controlled substance and counts of sex trafficking, including a minor. This is the Wayne County Sheriff Department, one of their finest, most longest tenured, most decorated officers. So once again, we have to continue to look and investigate further in that department, but most importantly, the leadership of that department. Peace and blessings. Y'all have a blessed day.